just love the drama.
Biggest U-turn since winter fuel allowance.
Cut that.
Because loose lips sink ships.
And what the fans want is to stop teams being owned by madmen.
Listen, you're really making a mess here. You're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. We're getting really cross with you.
The sticky patch came when the rest of the team sticky patch came, which was sort of January onwards.
Grumble, boobs joke, hot ones.
No, let me tell you, I don't have to look at this objectively at all.
The Wednesday week!
Put on your podcast!
Hello, good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Wednesday week. With the international break in full swing, we have a break from the roller coaster that is supporting Sheffield Wednesday, and it's a roller coaster at the moment, isn't it? This week we've no collapse to worry about at home. We've no away days yet to talk about in terms of beers on the train, in terms of spoons breakfast, and in terms of fireballs. We're going to save that for next weekend. And I'm delighted on this special edition to be joined by Simon and Hollie. Guys, how are we doing?
I'm doing great. It's my birthday. It's not technically my birthday, obviously, but for anyone who lives with a woman, what we have is like a birthday season. So any time in October is my birthday. So whilst it's not my actual birthday today, it is one of my birthdays. This Saturday at Charlton is also my birthday, yes. And last Saturday just gone, that was my birthday. So yeah.
How many birthdays we having then, Hol?
It's just the whole of October is my birthday. So don't book anything in October unless it relates to my birthday in some way.
And what did you get for a birthday treat this weekend playing football?
So I know a lot has been said, included by myself, about the dickhead shin pads that people have got. I've sworn already. Sorry, I've got that in early. But I have unfortunately been wounded. Oh, someone see Neon Brown says happy birthday to me. I don't know why he's put it like that. It's my real birthday month. But I've ended up with a deep wound on my leg where my shin pad should be because apparently it wasn't the right size. So, yeah, happy birthday.
Yeah, you'll be hobbling about for the next few weeks, no doubt.
I've been milking it.
Yes. Simon.
Hello.
Another year older, another dance around the sun for you as well in recent times, wasn't it?
A week ago, it was my birthday. Because I'm a man, I had a birthday day because we're not allowed a month.
You're allowed an hour. And that's it.
Yeah, that's it. So I've actually taken my birthday cards down. They were still up from last Monday. So yeah, another year older. Yeah, I wouldn't say wiser.
No,
but yeah,
I'm not sure between us we can get any wiser, can we?
Nah, we've blown that.
Prime.
Yeah. So with international break having sort of hit us again, not so long after the first one that we had in September, what have you been up to? How'd you get on this weekend? Busy?
Go on, H.
What, me?
Yeah, were you busy?
I was like I say, it was my birthday, so I went for a brunch and then I very hungover played football. So for the first half an hour of that game, I was sweating out pina coladas. It was, for some reason, even though it's a winter sport, it was the hottest day on earth ever recorded. And then I ended up with an injury, so it's all gone off for my birthday.
Oh, what about you, Si?
I watched my son playing football because he probably already know this, but he signed for AFC Emley Academy, and he was we played Doncaster Elite. He scored his first goal for them, and we beat them 7-0. So it was a close game. Nice. Nice. And then I've done just enjoyed the weather, walking the dog, and just enjoyed our last bit of summer. I think that was our last bit of summer, wasn't it? Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah. Are you going to tell us what the goals were like?
What the goals were like?
What was Ethan's goal?
Oh, it was a great goal, despite the fact it was rubbish on Saturday. But it was good. Left footer from just outside the box. Bear in mind he's a right footer. To the keepers.
I'm actually neither.
yeah, me too.
I'm a header. So,
it was all right. It was all right. Yeah.
Good. So for the benefit of those people that haven't seen one of these live and don't necessarily tune in, what we're going to do is we've been asking over the last sort of weekend for any comments or any questions that you guys can get in. So normally what you'd find would be myself. I'm the first time hosting, by the way. A Q&A session would be myself, Dan, and Ash normally. Ash is normally the person in the hot seat, and he's the one that will ask all the questions. So I've done a lot of moderating, feeling a little bit sort of apprehensive about making sure we pick the right ones, because we've had a fair few, certainly today, that have come in last minute for us to have a go at. And I know that even though I've shared these with you, we've been a little bit busy. So some of you, or some of these questions might be a little bit cold to you, so I'm dropping them in there. I'm interested to see what sort of reaction you get from some of the questions that we drop out. But as usual, if you're watching us on all of the social medias, you can see our branding downstairs at the bottom of the screen there. So we're on all of them: Insta, YouTube, Facebook. Don't forget to give us a like and subscribe, share, get your comments in. It really does help the algorithm. Interacting with us online does sort of push us to the top there, and that really does sort of help us. At the moment, we've had loads and loads of positive comments and well wishes for you guys in particular. So Paul Perugia has said that I'm with you, Hollie. It's my 75th on the 22nd. He started celebrating already. A man after my own.
Everybody is saying, everybody join in. It's like it should be a national holiday, if anything.
Yeah, October. We should have October off, shouldn't we? Let's go party on a really nice
hey,
island somewhere.
Hey, we should call it Oktoberfest.
You know what? That could go somewhere.
That could catch on.
Could catch on that.
Mad Ward has been on. Happy birthday month. Ooh, I think that's supposed to be Hollie. Belated birthday wishes to Si. And Neon Brown didn't want me to be left out, so he's wished me happy birthday, even though we're a month and a half beyond my mid-40th birthday. But cheers, like we said, get involved in all the comments as we go tonight, guys, and we'll see how we get on. Are you ready, boys and girls? Boy and girl. Shall we get into these questions?
Go on.
Okay, first question that has come in is from LMS. It's from Stu Williams. And it was actually one that has come a little bit earlier in one of our previous our previous Q&As. And it is, with enough money to make a good job of either, should we have a new ground or should we renovate? So if we had enough money to either move, get a new ground, or renovate the one we've got, what would you go for? And as it's ground related, and I know this is a little bit of your wheelhouse, I'm going to start with you, Si.
Oh, right. Okay. Cheers. Our captain of the ship, Daniel Fudge, always goes on about the fact that Wednesday ground should be in the centre of Sheffield. And I am absolutely 100% against that. I think we should stay where we are. I think Hillsborough's settled where we are. We don't have to be in the centre of Sheffield. If you look at Man City's ground, Man United's ground, Everton's new ground, Liverpool's ground, none of them in the city centre. You have to get to them by public transport. My opinion is we should redevelop Hillsborough. I think let's use history. It's a beautiful ground. I love the place. You know, do we want to be walking down Attercliffe to a football ground, or do we want to walk in through Hillsborough Park and seeing the stadium in front of us? Me personally, we want to stay where we are. Surrounded by boozers, surrounded by people who live there. You know, what we do need to up is we need public transport to step up. We need the tram to run more often. We need more trams. I mean, again, back to Manchester, they run more and more trams when there's a match on. Take people out there to Sports City or Old Trafford. Let's spend some money developing the ground, and let's face it, it needs it, because old Chansiri hasn't put his hand in his pocket, as we've seen this year with the North Stand. But I would keep the iconic North Stand, do it up. Or if you're going to knock it down, let's have a new one that replicates the look of it. The cantilever, famous cantilever stand. Let's have proper, decent facilities underneath it. The newest stand we've got is the stand I sit in, the South Stand, which you sit in, Steve. But actually, the underneath part of it is antiquated, isn't it? It's an old Victorian stand with a new roof over it. You know, let's spend money. You know what? If money's no object, let's buy a load of houses that are around us. I know, unfortunately, it'll be kicking probably Victoria out. I can see the stand from her loft. But let's redevelop it around it. Let's get some pictures built around it. Let's make it a sports city, like the Etihad. Come on, let's embrace it. We've got loads of decent boosters. The Park Hotel, Hillsborough's not far away. You know, why would we want a new stadium sat on an industrial estate like Derby Stadium? Oh my God, Derby Stadium! What a shocking place to put stadium, surrounded by blooming Toyota dealerships, and it's just shocking, absolutely shocking. You know, we don't want something like that. Let's keep Hillsborough. She's historic. She's a cathedral. She's getting a bit old. I know how she feels. You know, let's do her up. Let's send her to Turkey. Let's have some nice new teeth and hair put on her. You know,
if we had enough money, could we do Psy-up, or do we have to leave him as he is?
I'm happy staying as I am.
He's just called himself historic for a start.
Mate, you haven't seen me trying to get up in the morning. My knees are.
Get some of them tie wraps on it, like they have it.
That's it. Get some tie wraps. Probably need some ropes or something to get me out of bed in the morning. A blocking tackle.
Them tie wraps are great because it holds the North Stand together.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah, I mean, you know, working in engineering, our structural engineers said, "Oh yeah, tie wraps. We'll do that. We'll use that. It's the way forward."
What about you, Hollie? What's your view?
So, I mean, I probably won't go as far as to boot people out of the homes in the surrounding area, to be honest, but
get them out.
I'm not from Sheffield, so the location in Sheffield, I understand it, and walking down to Hillsborough from the tram stop is a new thing for me because we used to drive there, and I do appreciate that walk amongst all the fans, and I appreciate it on the way back when it's lively and how the location means a lot to other people, but it doesn't really mean a lot to me in its actual location. The stadium itself needs so much work that I know that the question is if we had enough money to do either. You could probably build 3 stadiums for the cost that it's going to take to do it up. And all the stadiums that I love are the old ones. But so Layer Road, Colchester's old ground, I absolutely loved it. I loved it. Even though when we went, I asked the steward where the women's toilets were, and he just laughed at me. And he said, "There's one cubicle for the stand." Right. And but even so, I loved it. There was like a little tiny bit of string separating the stands so we couldn't go past the string. But there was something about it. But then, having gone to the new stadium, I kind like it's got its own motorway junction and it's a bowl. And from the outside looking in, I just thought this is the exact opposite of what you've just lost. And this is absolutely so far removed from what I would imagine they were going to build. But we spoke to the guy that works there, and he was basically saying that the opportunity that the new stadium represents for them as a club, the sponsors that they're able to get that would not sponsor a one cubicle piece of string stadium, the opportunities for their academy and for the other associated teams, the facilities that they don't have clearly. I mean, the opportunities for women and kids to be able to attend football when they've only got one cubicle for the whole stand, like that's not feasible for people to take more than one kid or for women to go, like it's really not feasible. So the opportunities and the facilities that a new stadium represents. So, for example, we went, I know this is not necessarily Wednesday related, but I went to some of the Lionesses games and I took the team that I used to coach, which was all teenage girls. We went to one at Ellen Road. The women's facilities, there's less of those than there is for men. We went to one at Donny, and at Donny, I know it's not a new stadium, but a newer stadium than Ellen Road, we didn't have to queue for an hour for a toilet. And I know that, again, might not seem like big on the list, but why am I missing that much of the game just to have a wee? That's just ridiculous. So I kind of think, whilst I love the look of the 4 stands on any stadium, my favourite ones are Preston, as everyone always takes me out before, Oakwell, Hillsborough, where it's 4 separate stands. But I might not like the bowl ones, but how many people have said that they've loved going to Spurs? How many people want to go to the new Everton one? Like, what you at? If you could get some hot water and some food and stuff, how good would Hillsborough be? Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like the aesthetics of it fade away when the facilities are better, and you just think, do you know what? Actually, this is a much better match day experience than if I just stayed in. It kind of looks like an old stadium, and I like it. The women's toilets on the Cop where I sit are outside. That is cold. I'm not doing that.
I kind of feel that, just to sort of back on your point there, Hol, when I go to a game of football now, if it's as a neutral, it's that bowl experience that I think is the one. I think we've come so far in terms of technology, in terms of advancements, to your point, in terms of infrastructure of a facility and a view. I get irritated when I go to places and I don't get a great view. Do you know what I mean? And I know that's sort of, you can argue that whether or not there's a good view from being behind the goal to the side. Obviously my personal preference is to be side on, and I'd like to be as close to the halfway line as I can, because I can see everything, and that's what I enjoy. But there are times where I've been to a Wembley, or I've been to an Arsenal, or you've been to those grounds and you've sat as a neutral and watched the game of football, and just the match day experience in the modern stadia, I just find to be a little bit more sort of appealing to me personally. If you take it back to the question, just in terms of my input, I think I'd probably be inclined to be somewhere in the middle. As a lad who has an emotional tie to the club, I wouldn't necessarily want to leave Hillsborough. However, as somebody who's quite pragmatic in 2025, I'm sort of thinking it's outstayed its purpose. It's served, and we can talk about the stigma. I don't think that's it's not a point for this question necessarily, but if all things were being equal, I think I'd be inclined to sort of modernise Hillsborough, have a look at it, where we are in terms of a journey. And I would imagine that as Stu wrote this question, he was probably thinking, if we've got somebody who can go and chuck 300-400 million at it before we start to develop the infrastructure, I'd be all for redeveloping Hillsborough and making it our home for the next 15-20 years while we get on that Man City type journey, and then let's reassess in the future. We don't need a 60,000 seater stadium. We don't need to make it a bowl at the moment. What we need, like you've said, Hollie, and obviously Simon as well, in terms of redevelopment, we need to modernise the place. We need to give it more than a new lick of paint. We need to make it look something like, and we need it to be something that, if and when, touch wood, that day comes where, he who shall not be named has gone, it's something we can be proud of, and people will want to come and say how fantastic the stadium is.
Well, if you could make it so that it was a combination, so it didn't look like the Soulless Bowl, I feel like in 10, 20 years' time, they'll build a different style of stadium, and that'll look dated anyway. And then if there was a way to give it some kind of unique character that also represents all the people that we have emotionally attached to our current Hillsborough, but had the kind of infrastructure that makes you go there and spend all day there. Instead of turning up for kickoff, you spend all day there, and it's a proper day out, and there's so much stuff that these new stadiums have got that are part of it. It's not just in for the match and straight back out. It's the whole thing.
This is what we've discussed in the past, though, isn't it? I mean, I love German football, and my first visit to Berlin, it sort of introduced me to the fact of that it's actually an experience from start to finish, that there isn't actually isn't all about the game. It's about, you get there a couple of hours before, you meet your mates a couple of hours before, you sit in, like the Olympic Stad is obviously in a large park. We've got Hillsborough Park on the doorstep. You sit with your mates and have a few beers. There's no issues with, away fans turn up and there's a bit of singing, but there's no real bother that you see. You're there after the game. They put bands on and stuff like that, and music, and the bars stay open. And I think I can only hark back to Euro 96, of which Sheffield really embraced the Euros. I worked at Hillsborough as a steward in Euro 96. It was Denmark's seeded ground. And they put tents up. They had fan zones in Hillsborough Park, and I remember the Danes coming, and my God, I've never seen so many really, really drunk people in a stadium before a game. The way it's set up at the moment, if you turned up at a football game in the state those Danes turned up, they wouldn't allow you in. You would not get in. But that was absolutely embraced, that this is how Europeans see football as an experience. So there isn't that texting my mate, what time am I picking you up, 1:45, We literally park the car up at 2:30. We walk to the ground. We go in. We leave. We go home. We never talk about it again. That seems to be, and I understand that clubs like Man City. I've not been to Arsenal's new ground. I went to Highbury. I loved Highbury. Highbury was an amazing stadium. I loved it. It's one of the most soulless grounds I've been to is the Rico, or whatever it's called now, Coventry's ground. Yeah. Only recently there's atmosphere, but I went to Highfield Road and that was a cauldron. It was an amazing stadium, just unbelievable. But back to we don't embrace football as really an entertainment. The fact that so much could be done before and after in this country. And certainly in the Championship, we don't. I don't really know.
Turn us nose up at it because our fans, not our fans, but English fans, turn us nose up at it and go, "Oh, that's a bit lame." And then when more teams start doing it, they go, "Oh, actually, I do want to do that now."
and you know what? When I first went to Germany, the last thing I thought was lame. I actually thought, this is brilliant. This is just so good, to the point where, if I don't renew my season ticket, if the man who shouldn't be mentioned is still in charge when season ticket renewals happen, I'll spend that money going to Germany. I'm going to watch that because I'll have more fun and more enjoyment doing that than what I am currently at this moment in time at S6.
Yeah. Well, it's like the floodlights and stuff. I love the floodlights, seeing the floodlights of the stadiums. Again, like just to mention Oakwell, there's that big, massive floodlight in the away end that you can see. And we've changed our lights to those ones on the side of the stand and stuff. And loads of teams have done that, except Barnsley, I guess. But loads of teams have changed them. And you're just like, oh, well, I like that. But actually, not that I'm ever there early enough for it, the light show thing does add something, doesn't it? It adds something to the match day experience. I mean, I don't know why you put a light show on before we lose 5-0 every week, but but Sheffield FC did it, didn't you? Did you see that on Twitter? Sheffield FC little light.
Yeah, we've had a few comments from people that have tuned in. Keep getting your comments in. Johnny Al 1985 is in favour of a new ground and references Everton's new ground as a sort of a blueprint and a model. Regular inputter Rum Punch Man has said rebuild. Stu, in response to your first answer, Simon, absolutely the right answer. Thinks that's lovely stuff. And then we've got a couple of sort of wider field responses. So Anthony Eller, plenty of fields on East Bank Road in S2 that overlook the pigsty.
Well, there is a shadow anyway, so
there we are. And then Unforgettable Fire. We'll finish this question on this one. Unforgettable Fire 1, 4 new separate stands, all cantilever. So I think it's kind of divided opinions to an extent, but I think the general consensus there in terms of whether or not we build a new stadium or we renovate Hillsborough has come down in the favour of staying where we are and sort of retaining the ground that we're at. Okay, I'm conscious that we've done one question. We're 25 minutes in, and we've got a lot of questions to get through. And I've got school in the morning. So, second question. It's come from our LMS chat. It's Aaron Johnson. With everything being as shit as it is anyone else sort of looking forward to League One? There'll be less pressure. Do you see it as a chance to take a season also to start from scratch? Or is it just a short stop on the way down to League Two? And as we started with Simon last time round, Hollie, what are your thoughts on that question?
So, when we got relegated from the Premier League 25 years ago.
I know where this is going straight away. We thought we'd be straight back.
Me and my dad bought 3-year season tickets. So we went, do you know what? That'll be a bargain. Cheeky little stop off in the Division 1 Championship. Straight back into the Premier League. 2 seasons on this 3-year season ticket in the Premier League. That's going to be beautiful. We got relegated in that time again. We went down and down again. So we did not save any money. In fact, it was probably the worst 3-year period that we've had ever, other than right now. That said, there is a good pop world in Nottingham and Notts County are in League Two. So if we do go down and down again, I'm looking forward to that. I just don't think that you can go, oh, we'll go down, but we'll still be good, because I really don't think that's going to happen. The rebuild is so much like with the stadium, the rebuild for the team and stuff is so much so that we aren't even going to be competitive down there, I don't think. I really think it's going to be... I think it's going to be a really tough time down there.
I think that a lot of us are putting our stock in the Birmingham model, aren't they? I think what they're expecting is we'll go down, we'll get new ownership, Chancery will go, and then I'm talking about the people that are saying it's okay to go down. We'll get new ownership, they'll pump a load of money into it, we'll get the infrastructure that we want with these fantastic new owners, and then we'll come straight back up and we'll win the league at a canter, and then we'll be competitive again. And I'm going to say it, I don't think it's that straightforward, is it? There's a lot of water to go on.
Good team.
But there's a lot of water to go under the bridge, isn't there, before we get to that point of saying, can we develop like a team like that? So, Simon, what do you think?
I mean, the first caveat is the chairman, the owner goes, because if we go down to League One and he's still in charge this time next year, then the only next stage is League Two. And don't forget, Sheffield Wednesday have never been in League Two. So they've never been in that league ever in their history, unlike our neighbours. So that'd be another historic shit for brains going down again. Look, if we get a new owner, I don't want to go down to League One. Look at when Wrexham and Notts County, you mentioned Notts County, H. Wrexham and Notts County got promoted the same year, and both teams were absolutely head and shoulders above everybody else. And Wrexham have kicked on, and Notts County has struggled to get out of League Two. It's not a given. It's not a given that you're good in one league, so that means you'll be good in the next. Because let's face it, we shit the bed for 2 seasons, didn't we? Trying to get out of League One, when we had half a decent team and Darren Moore, and that only ended up with us winning in the 90. What was it?
Totally worth it. That's the master plan.
Yeah, it was all a plan. Josh Windas's diving header. You would never ever replace that day because it was amazing. We all spent the day and had a fantastic time with our nearest and dearest, and it was a brilliant weekend. But I don't want us to go down from the Championship. We need this man gone, and we need somebody in, and hopefully the EFL won't punish us with a points deduction, and we need to try and fight and stay up, because if we go down, it is not given at all that we will go back up. At all, full stop.
As fans, it don't really matter. We will enjoy it, whether we're in the Championship or if we're in League One, we'll enjoy it. I think some people might get a bit unsettled, again, particularly if at some point in the next few years, Ash has to walk back up that Forest Green hill. Like, some people might not be happy about playing in League One and League Two, or about losing to teams in those leagues, which is definitely going to happen, because I really don't think that we're going to be good. But generally, as fans, the away fans don't give a crap, right? It's just a good, like, I do think that we've got some absolutely fantastic fans that just would not care as long as we're going. But that's the thing, as long as we've still got someone to. But
just on that question though, Hollie, do you think that there's, and this is something that I often think about, do you think that there's a finite line? We take it for granted that we're good-natured largely, and I know that there's been some dissension over the last few weeks in terms of the fan base, and again, not necessarily something that we're aiming to get towards tonight, and at the moment anyway. But we are in it because we're all in it together, largely, aren't we? We're all Wednesday. Take away that rallying sort of differentials that we have against each other at the moment around whether or not we should be doing this, that, and the other. But we pride ourselves, and I always say I'm very proud of being a Sheffield Wednesday fan, and the nature of the people that you see on the hashtag, the people you see on social media, the match day experience that you get. It's, for every one negative sort of view or experience that you see, you'll get 250, 300 others. Is there going to be a point where, from a fan base point of view, we have said enough's enough, and the attendances do start to fall, and the goodwill that we have as a fan base starts to wane because we do get fed up with just being that bang average? I just feel like at times there might still be an opportunity for us to say we're going to come out this the other side, so we're all sticking in it at the minute anyway.
I don't think the attendances will drop that much. When we were down in League One before, and I don't mean this most recent stint, I mean the before, like 10 years ago before, the attendance has dropped, and they did noticeably. But I think it just gets to a point. I think we've got a core of, say, 15 to 20,000 people that would just go to the home games regardless, and the away games will sell out anyway. I don't think for every person who goes, I'm not going anymore, and this is post Chancery that I'm talking about, or just pre Chancery. For everyone who goes, I'm not going to an away game because I can't be asked to go to Cheltenham again, there'll be loads of people who want to go. They always sell out. So I don't think so. I think what comes with it is the understanding that some fans still think that we're a really big thing. So then if we do lose to somebody like we did to Forest Green, people do really take that as like a deep wound to them. And I just think we have to accept that in the next 5 years at least, we are not going to win every single game against a team that we deem to be not Sheffield Wednesday. There's going to be quite a lot of them. And just don't bother me. I got a season ticket in the mid-90s and pretty much it's all been shit since then. So don't bother me us losing. You can't scare me with a 5-0.
Brilliant. I love that. Right. Before we go on to our third question, we're going to take this opportunity to just stick in some wonderful adverts, and you can see who is.
Don't skip ahead, don't press that button. These ads are lean, not belly mutton. A tiny break before we pop, and don't forget when fun stops.
I couldn't decide which jingle to play, so I went for that one. Right then, third question. Right up Hollie Street. Let's get to a bit of fun and frivolity. You went crazy in the WhatsApp before when we mentioned that we were going to ask this question tonight. It's come from Adam Bishop on Facebook, and he wants to know who would be your dream front of shirt sponsor and why. Take it away, Hollie.
Oh, it's not necessarily that I've got someone in mind, but the shirt sponsors that I liked are all the ones that everybody hates. So, like Walker's Crisps, the TY. Why don't we have those things anymore? That's why I've got this one on for the people on audio mediums. I've got the Chupa Chups. This is a third shirt, I think, but the Chupa Chups one, right? Do you know the ones that are just so garish that you cannot miss them? These Chupa Chups, I feel like there might only be Tom Burton that might agree with me on this, but the Chupa Chups is so iconic. It's so garish. It's so of its time. And no one has like a brand like that anymore, do they? Like a proper like a supermarket brand. Nobody has that. That's what I want. Either that or Fireball.
I knew you were going to say that.
Right, let me ask you a question then. What's up with A Up?
Well, it's not even a real thing, but also that's just not a brand, is it? It's just a.
There was a lot of issues behind that brand, wasn't there?
Yeah, I was going for the logo and the design, and if we were talking garish and vile and that was the one.
No one said vile. You just threw that in there. I said fantastic.
You see, and you see the Chupa Chups brand is one of my favourite ones as well, because there's a history behind it that it was designed by Salvador Dali. It's a massive brand in Spain, and a massive brand. Everybody knows the Chupa Chup lollies. So that was quite a coup to us to get that on our shirt at that particular time. I mean, if we're going to go for sort of iconic Sheffield branding, get rid of A Up. I'd be looking at, and Ash will love this, I'd be looking at Henderson's Relish, something like that. Or alternatively, pulp on the shirts. I'd love it if Jarvis came in and the band and came in and says we're going to sponsor Wednesday, and I think Bands UK did a shirt a few years ago and it had Disco 2000 on it. They did a special edition shirt.
Yes,
and something like that just just iconic that we can all lots of bands now are doing football shirts, aren't they? The Ratings did a number of football shirts. I think Reverend the Makers did a football shirt. Even Formula One teams are doing football shirts now. They're great things, and you can sell a lot of them if you make an iconic one. And I'm surprised more people aren't buying. I don't know whether DHgate do replicas of the Chupa Chup shirt, but I'm surprised. I think if it was a black and gold one, we'd all be wearing it, I suppose.
But if we're gonna pick a sponsor, can we go back to having the feely sponsors, the flocked ones that are like raised? I'm not all about this where it's part of the shirt. I don't like. I want the touchy feely ones.
Yeah,
and yeah.
I mean, one for me as well would be Thornbridge Brewery. You know, Jim, who is one of the owners at Thornbridge, is a massive Wednesday fan. You know, and thought, but I don't know whether alcohol manufacturers can sponsor football shirts anymore. Can they? You know,
betting ones do, so I don't understand why.
Yeah, exactly. If you cast your mind back, though, we used to have Sharp, didn't we? We had JVC. We had some iconic brands on shirts that stayed on for years as well. You know, and now it seems to be, well, certainly at Hillsborough, it's a different sponsor every week. So,
every single team in the 90s had the best. That's like the sponsor, iconic sponsor time on the early 2000s. Every single team had something you think, oh, yeah, that was good. Yeah, I'll have that. You know, like the Dr. Martens or the Nuki Brown Ale, all of them. Like the proper brands of stuff, not just some random, like, online thing that's no one's seen before.
You see a Newcastle shirt and it looks odd without the Newcastle Brown advert on it. Modern Newcastle shirts don't look right. You've got to have that Warren Barton 1990s black and white striped shirt with the Newcastle Brown logo on it.
And bring back the blonde curtains as well if we're going to go full Warren Barton.
Why not?
So Warren Barton is the sponsor that we want, basically, is what we're saying.
Yeah. What, Warren Barton's face on the shirt?
I'm all in favour of just on that sort of Sharp JVC, you know, the big sort of brand identity that you wear on the front of the shirt. I'd go down there somewhere. Interestingly enough, Unforgettable Fire has just posted this in the chat. If we could have Tesla, that would mean that Elon Musk has bought us. With that in mind, and I won't say I'd be against having Elon Musk money, but I think Dan referenced this a couple of weeks ago when we did our previous Q&A. He would want Amazon because it would mean Jeff Bezos is involved. And if we have Jeff Bezos ploughing money into Sheffield Wednesday FC, all that conversation about new stadia, about infrastructure and everything else might be on the route that we'd be able to go down.
Yeah.
Okay, we're moving on at a pace, so we'll go to question 4, a little bit more sort of highbrow, if you like, and it's come from I don't know who this guy is.
Then they've asked
highbrow.
This pod.
Yeah, it's come from a gentleman called Ash Rogers.
Oh, never heard of him.
Ash, I don't know who he is or what he's doing. Weird name. I don't know. What's your thoughts on the new football regulator? Do you think they'll have more bark than bite? Simon.
Oh God, thanks for that. I can only go by the other quangos that governments in the past have set up, where, to be honest, they're a toothless tiger. I think the interview with the guy CEO who's running it, Sheffield Wednesday, immediately came up, and I just tend to find that yes, we're on the radar, but there was the politics that came out of him wasn't the politics that fans want to hear, and how effective can they be? How can they stop somebody owning a business? What, in intents and purposes, is a business, you know, and running it badly, because there are plenty of businesses out there that are run badly and just get by. I don't know. The jury's out for me. For me. There's a lot of words being said and not a lot of actions taking place. And the EFL just seem to go down the route of talking more and more about points deductions, which isn't going to punish our owner. It's going to punish the fans and the players and the club in all. And it's going to put us further away from anybody wanting to come in and buy us. So for them to, you know, what can the regulator do? You know, are they going to nationalise us? Are they going to take us? Are we going to be owned by the government? I mean, what can they physically do to force the owner out of the business? Because at the end of the day, we are a business, and we're a private business, and it's not gone very well with governments taking over private businesses in the past. Mate, the jury's out. They might change. Tomorrow we might get a press release saying that Chansiri's gone, and but what can they actually reasonably do? I don't think they can do anything. They can talk a lot.
I think it's just too nuanced in football, isn't it? There's just too many different factors that you just cannot possibly ring fence certain parts of it. I just don't know how they can do it. If the EFL themselves have tried to put in place a fit and proper test and the financial fair play, and they can't even uphold their own rules. QPR, just as an example, but loads of different teams, including ourselves previously, spent loads, didn't they? Way beyond the means, got promoted into the Premier League. And then when they came back, the EFL just went, you broke the rules, so here's 10p fine. Like, what they should have done is gone, fine, get promoted all you want, but when you come back down, you are not competing in the EFL, so you can go to the National League. And then nobody would gamble it because it's not worth going to the Premier League for 2 seasons and then going down to the conference. It wouldn't be worth it, but they don't do that. And I just don't see what they can do.
And the problem is that a lot of the people who sit on the EFL, I know we're not talking about the separate, the government organisation, but they're made up of people who are chairmen of football clubs. So they're not going to bring rules in that damage themselves. And the people who seem to be coming in with this government organisation are people who are involvees in football, so it's this whole thing of right. So for example, if I'm going to get on a soapbox, it would be that we are, there's a government organisation out there that supposedly sets prices for gas and electric, and they are completely out of touch with the fact of what you and I can actually afford, and are now charging people up to £2,500 a year for that gas and electric, which is resulting in companies making billions of pounds profit. And the only people who are getting hurt are you and I, who are having to keep our houses warm and keep our lights on. This is going to be the same thing, is that they are literally, I think someone's put, they will be paid lots and lots of money, and they will talk a lot, and they will probably put a lot of red tape in the way. And in 18 months, 2 years' time, Sheffield Wednesday will still be, unless he leaves, will still be in the shit that we are now.
But that's the point. The point you've just made then, Si. So Karen Brady, for example, was against this regulator. She thought that it wasn't worth it because they need to protect the globalization of the Premier League. Now she's done a U-turn and gone, oh, actually, I've been reassured that it will do that. So clearly what's happened is the Premier League teams have had an input into it to protect what they want. So how does that affect people who are outside the Premier League if really the football regulator is going to do what certain people want? And then I'm sure stuff came in place when the Premier League was formed, when we were there, that we agreed to that shit on everyone else. But what do they have at the heart of it? Is it the little guys in the EFL, or is it just those teams who really they want to let them spend whatever they want and do whatever they want and be owned by whoever, because that's the saleable part of English football to the world?
Well, the big picture there, and it wasn't something I was thinking about when we start this conversation, but for us, I agree with you, Hollie, for us being part of the Premier League 32 years ago, whenever it was, we'd have looked after ourselves. But the problem is now it's got to a point where it's probably, you can argue the toss here and there, the Premier League, it will be in the top 3 in terms of marketable, profitable organisations from a sporting point of view in the world. It's right up there with your Amazons and your, your American sports and everything else, whether it be business or sport orientated. The Premier League is a ridiculous multi-billion pound machine now. And the people that are sitting at the top tables, because they've got affiliations with certain clubs that they can see as sort of bedfellows, if you like, they're going to look after those clubs. The only way you're going to break it, in my opinion, is you're going to get somebody like a Wrexham that all of a sudden they're going to attract a Ryan Reynolds and a Rob Mack, because it's a really romantic story to have Wrexham in the Premier League. So I can see Wrexham breaking into that top table. I can see Birmingham. I can see this American, these American ownerships, or even, dare I say it, Saudi ownership. If you got to that point, maybe not Saudi because of the connotations that are associated with that country. But, you know, if you've got a billionaire that was going to go and get involved with a club that could organise and run an infrastructure that is serving the Premier League, then they're going to support it. And whilst that's happening,
the rules.
Yeah, and whilst that's happening, the little man down the street is going to be feeding on scraps. And at the moment, whether we like it or not, Sheffield Wednesday are feeding on scraps. We're a romantic story that people, and I do believe, you know, when the IFR are talking about it, when we're getting these interviews, when we're getting people that are sort of in and around it, they are romanticising our club because we are. For whatever reason that may be, we are a romantic, traditional football club in the UK, and people look at our history, they look at our heritage, if you like, they look at, you know, what we were, and we're founding members of the Premier League and everything else. But when push comes to shove, and this is something that's come out in you know, in the last few weeks, I don't think it's any secret that certain people that used to own certain black and white football clubs have been looking at us and have kind of looked down at it and gone, well, we need this much money. We'd have to do this much in terms of the infrastructure, in terms of the, you know, the refurb of the stadium. How much money is it going to cost me to get us to this point? And I'm also going to have to deal with that madman in charge. It's not worth my time. So I'm going to move away from it, because it's not viable for them. They're not going to get anything out of it. So there's, like Hollie said, there's lots of moving components that I think are just too uncertain. But from an IFR point of view, I don't necessarily think that they are going to give us what we are hoping for as a fan base. And I know that might not be a popular opinion, but I think it's one that's probably shared. And the only other thing on Simon's earlier point that I'd say would be that he's going to fight it, because he's a man-child. He's a horrible little man-child that's dug himself into a hole to the point where he's going to fight it. And this red tape that we're going to get tied up in, because it's going to be a precedent. We don't know how long that process is going to take. And we talked about it last week. We talked about it last week in terms of what's he going to do when it comes to January, when the money's dried up. Where are we going to be in February?
If he'd wanted to sell, we'd have been sold by now. There is no doubt. If he was open to this club going, he would have probably have sold the club in June, July, because he knew he couldn't actually move the club forward, and he's been robbing Peter to pay Paul since then. You know, we've had constant wages not being paid. We've had fire sale of players, and this is the worrying thing that I think is going to happen in January if he's still in charge. Is anybody and any player who's worth any money, he's going to sell, unfortunately. And I think the IFR are powerless. They're not the silver bullet that I think everybody thought they were. They will probably pull the fans groups together again and discuss what we can do. But ultimately, and it may, like you say, Steve, it'll end up in a court somewhere as a test case, by which time Sheffield Wednesday could be in League Two or beyond. You know, this, you know, when we say about hold on to your hats, boys, this is just going to be a roller coaster ride of absolute dire shitness. You know,
I think my thing on it, I guess, Chansiri is not going to sell, and no one's going to buy it, because, like you've just said, Si, if he was going to sell it in January when we still had all the players that we got rid of, it was worth more. Now anyone might as well wait until we're worth £1, because we've got nothing. So I've got nothing left. We've got nothing left. So we might as well wait until we're actually worth nothing, because any money that they pay over £1 is too much for us at the moment. But with the football regulator, it's not just about us. So like, what I, as a fan of generally of football, want to see, like, yeah, for all the reasons that you mentioned, Stevie, we're a historic club and we're a big club or whatever. Would these rules that they bring in, would it have saved Bury when Bury went? Or would they not give a shit about Bury? Where is the point where they go down the league and they go, actually, I'm not that bothered anymore? Because I don't think that they're going to come up with enough that will save clubs, and it'll have to save them quite fast, because that stuff with Bury was a fast-moving process, because the guy just wanted the club gone. And I just think there's too many nuances in football for it to be a robust way to go, right, well, they're in the shit. He hasn't paid the the players. So get him out. Right, he's out by now, and then get someone else in. I just don't think that they're going to have a plan for that. I think it's just going to be like a pre-warning, don't do it, and then they'll do it. And then
I don't think they've even got the powers, Hollie, to stop. I don't think they've got the powers to voluntarily purchase a football club or voluntarily take the chairman who owns the club lock, stock, and barrel. I mean, this whole thing of, like you said about Bury, is theoretically Chansiri could shut the gates tomorrow and say, I'm not fulfilling the rest of our fixtures. And what can the EFL do in that respect? Dockers points. Points. If we're not playing football, doesn't matter. Now, fine us. He ain't got any money to pay the fines anyway. We are literally caught between a rock and a hard place.
And from somebody looking in, we know, because we are seeing it all the time, and we're seeing all the whatever is today's random bingo thing of shitness every single day. But realistically, for somebody looking in from the outside, Chansiri's been here 10 years and 6 months of it's been shit. So on balance, obviously that's wrong. But somebody looking in will go, well, he's had 9.5 years of it was okay. And in fact, for some of that time, you kind of liked him. And you had some signs up and you sang some songs about him. And now you don't like him. So how long do they wait to see if he's going to keep being shit?
Yeah.
Obviously, we know that he is, but they don't care about Wednesday. And there's a song for that. But
yeah, there is.
It's one of those things that, we can talk about it week in, week out, and it feels like we do at the moment. And we're just trying to find, we're finding ourselves in a different sort of coming at it from a different angle, which is it's hard to do, but I think it's important that we do sort of obviously answer the question. I know it's come from internal sources, if you like, but I think given everything that has come out in the last week, it's important to address it. We're very sort of vocal in terms of saying, as a podcast, we're here to report the news, we're here to share information. We aren't going to be the news, and we don't want to be that sort of that medium that buries its head in the sand and doesn't address things, because that's not what we're about. Yeah, we're the happy clappers, we're the irreverent ones, we're the ones that are a little bit more light-hearted in terms of the things that we say we do. We're trying to offer a little bit of entertainment, and it would have been really easy for us to sit down and dedicate an hour to independent football regulator, and that's not a dig at anybody else. It's not, for a Q&A purposes, we've set up tonight because we want to talk about things and we want to have a little bit of a laugh, but we do have to obviously address the things that we're talking about here, which is why we're doing what we're doing. And on that note, we'll get on to our next question, which has come from David Reed. Favorite home and away kits? And this question, it's a little bit longer than it appears on the ticker. We've had some good away kits as well as some dodgy ones. As for home kits, there are a couple that will spring to mind. What was your favourite home kit, your favourite away kit, and is there a colour combination that you'd like to see? I personally would love a green and yellow striped shirt like West Brom. Green and yellow stripes sounds absolutely horrific to me, however. Hollie, kit aficionado, where are you going?
I'm going to be a complete basic bitch, and I'm really sorry, but the pink away kit that we had, the pink away kit that we had, that's one of them where you go, no, I'm not being that girl that likes the pink kit, but I actually really did like it. I'd search high and low for it as well because it sold out immediately. I do like the orange one that's behind me as well. At the time, I really liked the dark green one that we had in the 90s, but my dad being colorblind, when we wore that against anybody who wore red and then had a corner, he had no idea what the hell was going on. He was like, whose ass? What's going on? So I don't know how players, there must be some players that are colorblind. I don't know how they deal with that. But yeah, so I like orange. I like the pink one. Dark greens, we can't have that anymore.
What about your home kit? What's your favorite home kit? Because I've got a real strong opinion on this one.
Oh, well, so it's not necessarily a favorite home kit, but it's got to be the right amount of stripes. It's got to be the right shade of blue. It's got to have the right color in the middle. And I can't tell you what those things are, but I know it when I see it. Sometimes it goes too far. That's a Wigan, too far. That's a Huddersfield or a Ipswich or whatever. I'm not having any of that. You know it when you see it. It's not this one, by the way, because I hated that at the time, although it's a cult classic.
That's the barcode one, isn't it?
That's the barcode, yeah. It's
Yeah.
made out of.
It's a cult
Favorite
classic.
home, favorite away.
Favorite home kit. I'm going to sort of my first few days tipping my toe in the water of going a lot to watch Wednesday would be 1990-91 Umbro striped, beautiful blue, the correct blue home kit, the Asda winning kit. No sponsor. It was iconic up until the 91 League Cup final. We had no sponsor on it. It was a beautiful home kit.
Is that the
Black
one with
shorts.
the blue stripes? The Tesco's carrier bag?
It had thick blue stripes,
Oh,
and
right.
it had a little sort of weave wove in it.
Yeah.
It was
It's
and a
your,
little
it's your
bit
David Hurst, Nigel Pearce, and Peter Shirtley.
Yeah, and maybe there's some romanticism with the facts of the time and the players and stuff like that. But it was the right blue, and it just looked the stripes the right width, and it the nice collar. It was just a nice shirt to wear as well. And then I've got a lot of love for the yellow Host and Stay shirt that we had a few years ago.
Okay.
It was obviously that was the sort of take on the Brazil shirt that we had again in 1991, the Johnny Hawks shirt scoring at Derby. And I also really, really liked the orange away kit last season. I thought they knocked that out of the park, the orange
All the
kit.
kits last season were good.
Obviously, it was a homage to the one that's behind Hollie there, because Puma knocks them. I mean, Umbro were brilliant. Then Puma came in and they proper knocked it out the back of the park with some of the home and away shirts. Quality probably not quite as good, because that shirt that's behind Hollie and the home shirt at the same time, which was almost like a polo shirt with Sanderson, they really bobbled. There were loads of bobbles on them. They were an absolute nightmare.
You could wear them instead of a sleeping bag if you were camping. They were so cute.
Yeah. And the shirt to the right of Hollie, the barcode shirt, as I call it, which is actually quite cool because it's got we changed the badge that year from the badge that everybody moans that Chansiri changed. The badge has changed on that shirt as well to something very similar to what we have now. And that's actually woven into the shirt. You can actually see it at Sheffield Wednesday FC. But that shirt was made out of a material that no footballer should ever have to play in. It was just so thick. It was like made out of a parka.
Strippers wear it up mountains, I think.
It's the sort of Mark Pembridge shirt. It sort of reminds me of, because it has got really long sleeves on it as well. They almost come down to here. But I think that was the fashion at the time, wasn't it? But yeah.
As a completely unrelated note, I really didn't like Mark Pembridge for no reason whatsoever. But you know, when someone's face just irritates you, I couldn't even bear to look at his face. He's not done anything wrong at all, but just mentioning him then made me really annoyed, and I don't know why.
Great player.
I am very much of the mind that when the question came up, it was if it's home versus away. I've said this before. I'm the kind of person, I don't buy shirts that are current. I'll go back and I'll buy shirts from, back in the day. So I've got the BT plastics, green and white. I've got the grey and purple, silver and purple thin look. And I tend to sway towards those two. The black and yellow one that's been adopted by the Trust, the protesters, the boycotters, that one as well, I think is really nice. And the gold and purple pinstripe, the alternative one. So I think one was 93 and the other one was 94, wasn't it? So they're my sort of shirts. In terms of the home shirt, I've always said you can only do so much with a blue and white stripe. And when we deviate from that blue and white stripe, like you guys have said, it does kind of irritate me. I couldn't get on board with the blue with the white pinstripes. I couldn't get on board with the solid blue and the sort of the blue and white Arsenal version. I agree to an extent. Simplicity is best, and to an extent, I'd say maybe the shirt from the 91-92 sort of era that we talked about, that Simon's just talked about, and the other one Craig has just put in the comments. The other one that when you go back and have a look at it, it just looks so simple. He's talking about the 84, 85, 86 shirt with MHS on the front. Pure blue and white, symmetrical. Nice collar, simple details. It's not overcomplicated for me. Keep it simple, keep it better. But they're the ones I'd go to.
The problem we have now is that we have to reinvent the shirt every year, because if you cast your mind back, which I can, we had your home shirt was 2 years, only just. Your home shirt was 2 years and your away shirt was 2 years, and they overlapped. So you didn't change both your home and away at the same time. So you had, in the middle part of your 2 years of home shirt, your away shirt changed. So you had, now, I mean, what we've got, the silvery white kit that we've got now is the third kit. We had the black kit last season. You might find that your away kit is probably only worn 10 games, because of then you're wearing it for, you've got to wear your home kit because your away kit clashes with who you're playing. You have to wear your third kit. And kits don't become iconic now, because literally you might only see your team playing it for 5-10 matches, and then it's gone, and then we have to reinvent it again. But
you on your point there, Simon, you look at the black kit. The black kit, I can remember I wasn't going to buy it, but I went round out of curiosity down to the ground and thought, I'm just going to have a look at how many people have decided they're going to go and get it early. And it was 8:30. It was summer holiday, so I was off work. 8:30, they were queuing out of the car park, and then they were snaking round what was Zombieland at the time in the car park. That was a really nice kit, and I think if you go back 25, 30 years, it would have been an iconic kit. But like you just said, it's probably been worn 15 times max,
if that. I would say it's barely been worn last season.
I've got it in my head, and I'll stand corrected. Somebody more learned than me when it comes to things like this might be able to tell me if this is the case. I think there are contractual obligations. I know there are kits with clashes. Is there something that says you have to wear it a second or a third strip a certain number of times? I'm not sure if that's the case, but I'm sure I've heard something like that.
Yeah, I think sometimes there is things like that where you have to wear it, and I think that was one of the reasons why Chansiri went down the road of Elevate, wasn't it, to make our own kit, so we'd have more control over it, and I suppose at the end of the day, he wanted more money out of it. But they don't become iconic anymore. I mean, I was looking at sort of iconic kits of the 90s. We've already mentioned it with sponsors, haven't we? Carlsberg, Newcastle Brown, Strongbow, stuff like that. But do you remember? And you're a bit of a Arsenal. You like the old Arsenal teams of the 90s, don't you, Steve? With Mickey Thomas and people like that. Do you remember the JVC? They calls it the bruised banana kit. It was yellow with the black V's on, which is absolutely. When it first came out, it was like, oh God, it is beautiful. That kit is a thing of beauty. And the green and white striped Wednesday shirt got much maligned at the time to being too close to Celtic colours. But I wore a replica of that at Owls in the Yard, and I lost count the number of people who said how cool that shirt was.
Glorious. It's garish, it's awful, but it's glorious.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
There's only one team, apparently, and maybe there's only one team that have kept the exact same home kit combination for the whole history, and that's Blackburn have kept the kit that they've got, the home
blue and white quarters,
half blue and half white.
They're the only ones that everyone else has changed it at some point. So fair play to them for just going, nope, that's the kit, buy it again, different sponsor, who cares?
Fair dues.
Well, they were McEwen's Lager, weren't they? That's the thing I always remember. The iconic sponsor for them, I think, was McEwen's. It was Rangers and them, McEwen's Lager. So, how you remember these things. I might be wrong. Someone will prove me wrong now. But
I might have seen that on a black and white film or something.
Yeah. When people were playing football, kicking the ball. Oh, there's a lady there. What's she doing here?
Going for a cubicle.
With the one toilet. So there's one toilet and she's just come to use it.
Guys, I'm going to finish up with one last question that Hollie's dropped in late, if that's okay. We've got an hour and 5 minutes in, but I didn't want to leave without doing this last question. Just to finish on a little bit of a light note. And the question is, I can't credit the person who posted it, Holl. I'm really sorry. He's just got WSG in there. And it is, could you come up with a discussion point? I want to word it right. Come up with a discussion point about weird teams you just don't like, because mine are Charlton and we're playing them on Saturday. So is there a team out there that you've just got an irrational dislike of and I'm going to veto anything that's to do with geography. So you can't have United, you can't have anybody South Yorkshire, you can't have anybody who would be classed as a derby rival. Is there just a random club somewhere that you just look at and go, oh shit, it's them again?
I believe that was I believe that was Molly that put that in the chat. She did put about 100 questions in a row that were all very odd. But yes, go on, Si.
Yeah, Si.
Oh God, sorry. Coventry City. Coventry City are just. I hate them. I absolutely. And the funny thing is, it's become more irrational the more times we've played them, which is quite a lot recently. My partner Joanne is from Coventry, and Coventry City.
That's why I hate them.
That's why I hate them. No. And Coventry City is, and the outlying areas of Warwick, Leamington Spa, and that are rugby union. They love rugby union, and Joe's grandfather played for Coventry. Rugby union. Everybody loves rugby union, and they've been through some terrible times as Coventry City, and I've been to Highfield Road, and I felt sorry for them. But they are just the most condescending set of fans I have met. Their stadium is horrible. You know, it is. I remember once going, and they charged away fans. They went cashless, but they didn't. You couldn't use your card or your phone. You had to buy a card, right, to pay for beer, and the card was something like £5. But then you had to load it because, like, you bought the card and it came with £2.50 on it for £5. So you paid them £2.50. But then after that, you had to put more money on it, which I think we only went in denominations of £5 and £10 to buy beer with it. So you ended up leaving this ground with a card with like £8 on it because you wanted to buy some beers, and which you never used again because I think they binned it the following season, right? They've moved us all around. 1 minute we sat here, 1 minute sat there. The stadium is in the middle of fucking nowhere, literally in the middle of nowhere. It is abysmal to park there. It is next to a Tesco's that you can park for, I think they've set it that you can park there for 3/4 of a football game, but after that it costs you £100, right? You can never get parked anywhere near it. If you get the train in, like myself and Ethan did the other year, you've got to keep your mouth shut, because if you open your mouth, they suddenly go, they're not from Coventry, and proper have a go at you. They're just horrible fans. It's just horrible, horrible, horrible. It's shit. Simple as that.
And they owe £8.50 on a card somewhere.
Yeah, I've got a card somewhere upstairs that's in my drawer amongst all the other crap that I've collected over the years that I can't buy anything with. It might be worth a fortune. It might be worth a fortune. It's just soulless. The ground's soulless. I mean, I know they've tried to create a bit of atmosphere by shoving them all in one corner, which I think is where we used to sit in that corner. They've sort of squashed all Wednesday fans down even more. We drew them 85 times in the Cup and the League the other season, of which I think they beat us pretty much every time. They beat us on Boxing Day. We went on Boxing Day, didn't we? It was abysmal. It's just not a nice place to get to. The M6 is awful. The M69 is one of the most boring motorways in the world. What has Warwickshire got that's any good? And there you go. I'm sorry, but Coventry. Other than that, whereas you go the right, you go and all right, and another one. Their local rivals are Leicester. They call it the M69 Derby. They hate Leicester. Their local rivals are Leicester. It's like, what? Really? They're just insignificant.
I have a question. I have a question.
Just sit on the fence about it, Si.
Yeah, tell us how you really feel. The M69 is a boring motorway. Can you tell me a motorway that's alive with vibrant?
M74 going up from the M74, where it goes from the M6 all the way into Scotland to Glasgow, is one of the most beautiful motorways that exists in this country, because you climb up through the Highlands and then drop down to Glasgow. It's wonderful. Whereas the M69 goes from Leicester and then doesn't even go to Coventry. It finishes at the M6. Bear in mind, this is a man who's done that a lot, because my in-laws live in Warwickshire. So I've done it a lot. And it's a horrible, horrible motorway. There you go. Coventry
Hollie,
City.
Have you got a non-motorway related disdain for a football club?
Thanks for that question, Molly. That's really helped us. But I actually think I've mellowed, because there's loads of teams that I used to really, really dislike. And now I just think, I don't like Milton Keynes for obvious reasons and just because. But then last time we went and we were all singing that Lee Gregory thing, I kind of loved it a bit, and we won, which helps. And I kind of don't like Stoke, but then I kind of like, I've just mellowed on it. I don't think there's anyone. I was going to say, before you put in the caveat that we can't have a local team, I was going to say Donny, because last time I went to Donny, I was in the queue for the food. And there was like 3 things. You couldn't see what they were. They were unknown items in this heated rack. And I was like 4th person. So I thought, right, don't order it. Don't. And then the first 2 people ordered something, and then it missed one. And I got this last item, and I was so hungry. I needed this food. I was like, I'll have that, whatever it is. Don't even tell me. It's a nice surprise. And that it's making me want to gip now thinking about it. That is the worst thing that I have ever put in my mouth by far. Right? It was honestly, it was so that it was something, an unknown thing.
Clip that.
It was an unknown thing wrapped in a Yorkshire pudding. I feel like it might have been the ashtrays wrapped in a Yorkshire pudding, but then somehow both the driest thing you've ever eaten and still strangely moist, like the 2 things. I didn't like it. It's making me feel sick thinking about it. And for that reason, I do not want to ever go to Doncaster ever again. I couldn't even tell you anything about the match that food relates to, but I needed food, and I did not need that. I don't think I've recovered from it. So Donny is my answer.
Donny, but it's in South Yorkshire. Can I just throw in a quickly one, because I know you want to get in, Steve. Another one that I hate is Ipswich, because it's just
Ipswich. Yes, I don't like Ipswich. I changed my answer. I haven't had anything.
Getting there seems to take you 4 weeks, and we once went to a game at Ipswich, and it was called the Retro Away Day Shirt Day. So we all went and we stayed over, and there was one pub in the whole of Ipswich would let us in, and they were like, no, sorry, don't allow away fans. And it was called the Station, which ironically was opposite the station, and it was the only pub that Wednesday fans could go in, and they had 2 bar staff. So Ipswich as well is pretty shit.
Yes, actually, can I just jump in, because I also agree that Ipswich is the worst. It's too far away, and Bailey Peacock Farrell had that absolute mare, and it was like I felt like I was behind some like bulletproof glass, and I was going, no, behind you, and he couldn't hear me, and we could all see it happening before his eyes. And we also had a similar thing where we went to go in a pub, and my dad said, hey up mate, and the bouncer's arm just went across the door, and he went, no. And we were like, what? And he went, you've got to be from here to get in. And he went, I am. Tried to go on, I am actually. And it was like, no. And then we saw in the bay window of this pub everybody we know that happens to not have a Yorkshire accent. So Pete, who's obviously from Aylesbury, and Liam, and all the people with posh accents. And we were like, get them out of there. They're Wednesday fans. Get them out. Trying to get them kicked out, and they just wouldn't have it at all. So yes, Ipswich. Sorry, Stevie.
Sorry, Steve.
No. I've no negative comments to be made against Ipswich. I'm not that fussed about Coventry one way or another. We played them enough. I'm sick of the sights of them, to be fair, recently, but I don't have any sort of rational disdain for them either. The one that gets me, or irrational. Do you know what it is? It's any club that, regardless, and you're seeing more of it at Hillsborough this season, but any club that comes all the way over and, Sheffield's a shithole, I want to go home. Well, why have you come? What have you turned up for? Do you know what I mean? Any club that has a fan base that comes and sings about how crap it is to be at Wednesday, to be in Sheffield bothers me. That frustrates the hell out of me.
To Watford, so.
Yeah, and they give it, and it's happening loads, because we're getting picked at home week in, week out at the minute. They then turn around and they go, you've had your day out now, go home. And they even do that at Hillsborough. And I think that's the other one, isn't it? You've only come to see the X, insert No, I've come to watch Sheffield Wednesday. I've come to spend 2 hours sat in the stand enduring this crap show that you come all the way along. That bothers me. So it's not necessarily a team as such, it's them. But if I was to go...
That song works on you and it does rile you up, so that is the purpose.
It winds me off. No, because I'm that guy who sits there and goes, I'm not going to give them the fingers. I'm not going to interact with them. I'm not going to laugh at them. I don't make fun of away fans when we're 4-0 up. I sit there, I enjoy the football. That's me. And I know that other people exist for those reasons, and that's absolutely fine. You do you. Have a great time doing it, but leave me alone. I just want to watch the on me.
On that note, I remember when we went to Preston away last season, and we met up with Ethan and I met up with you and your sister and Molly, didn't we? In that Wetherspoons and had breakfast, and we all looked at each other as we sat down and went, "Jesus Christ, it's rough round here, isn't it?" And then Hollie came bouncing in and going, "Oh, Preston is amazing! I love it. Lovely."
Oh, we had a great time.
Which Preston did she go to? Was it a different reality to this one?
New Year's Eve in Preston this year, guys. That's the place to be.
It's where it's all happening. It's where it's all happening.
Yeah,
guys, we've done 1 hour and 17 minutes of absolute irreverent nonsense. I've put on the tag that it's going to be absolute nonsense tonight, and I think we've achieved that. We've ticked some boxes, haven't we? Had a little bit of therapy and a little bit of break from things that are all sort of doom and gloom at Sheffield Wednesday, even if we have addressed some of the things that we've needed to talk about tonight. I can't thank you enough if you've been online at any point this evening to listen to us three ramble on. Normal service should be resumed next week with the return of at least Dan and or Ash. So we'll keep your eyes out there. If, as we always say, you haven't yet done so, why haven't you? Please like and subscribe. Get on all the social medias that you can see down on the bottom of the screen. And could we all, one final, make sure tomorrow you're jumping online. Make sure you're jumping online tomorrow and saying happy birthday to the one, the only, the walking soundbite that is Hollie. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. I've been Stevie, and I will see you later.
Every week, live from 8 p.m. It's the Wednesday Week. Bringing you football analysis.
They said we'll win the league next season.
Bringing you modern references.
I did a little 1920s fist pump there. Not done that in a while.
If we could do just a 1-to-1, not me because it'd last 7 days apparently, like Craig David.
I should not have said that. I should not have said that.
This show's like you're mental. No, I'm not.
Clip that.
Bringing you terrible impressions.
Wibble wobble wobbly wobbly wibble wobble Cyber Jordan. Going, hey, you got to play a 4-4-2. She. I don't know where these jokes are coming from.
Available on all social medias.
Obviously, this goes out on YouTube and as well as all the other social media out there, podcasts, etc.
The award-winning Wednesday Week. Join us.
Put on your pod